Hello everyone, happy Monday again. Welcome to my minivan studio in beautiful Los Angeles. Despite everything that's going on in this crazy state, we still have fantastic weather. My name is Daniela Bloom, and for those of you who don't know, I am one of LA's premier relationship authorities. And pretty recently, I've decided to use my platform to talk about the reality of what's going on in our politics and our headlines today that actually mirror a lot of what's going on in our relationships today. And so my voice and my platform is here to create a space for a much needed dialogue, because do you want to be right, or do you want to have a stronger United States of America? When I work with my couples and they are contemplating a separation, and there's a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication, the question is often asked, do you want to be right, or do you want to be married, right? What is better for the relationship? So we're going to explore that today. There's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. Now, again, as a psychotherapist, I'm not coming here to speak like a political commentator would, a historian and attorney would. I am here to call out the human patterns and observations I'm seeing, and a lot of double standards and hypocrisy that I'm seeing that is causing much of the division today, and why the idea of unity may still elude us if we don't look at these realities. Okay, so let's go. So the reality, though, regardless of who was inaugurated in January, these problems in our country are not going away anytime soon. So we either are in denial about it and our bubbles of the left and the right keep growing stronger, or we say, you know what? I want a better country. And if that requires me to have an open mind and to be more receptive to an honest conversation without prejudgment, without name calling, then I am going to do my part. Okay? Here's the reality. The reality is 74 million people have voted for our sitting president, Donald Trump. The reality is that he received over 11 million votes than he did in 2016. He won Florida and Ohio, which normally would secure most presidential elections. So there is an anomaly going on with the polarization of our country. Whether or not Donald Trump is in office, like I said, the momentum and passion that has been created both sides is still real and very much alive in our country today. So one thing is for certain, the mainstream media has won, right? They have been hugely influential in polarizing our country. Now, people are going to say, especially on the left, what are you talking about? Donald Trump was the most polarizing president ever. Now, you can't have the chicken without the egg. The Pew Research studies have been doing research on media bias and distrust since 2014, in the middle of Obama's second term, okay? There has been a lot of mistrust started even before Trump entered the picture. So the media has created bias. Trump calls them fake news. They have no incentive other than to continue to bash him. So it's like a cycle. And it's not a great cycle. I'm not happy about this cycle. I'm not happy about the tweeting and the echo chambers of hate and imbalance. It's not doing anyone any favors. I love Megyn Kelly's quote. I'm going to paraphrase it here. She said, "Media today is no longer a public service. It's a business. It's a business that caters and panders to its audience." So when you understand that, you understand that the headlines, the news stories, the commentators, the people who are hired on the network to speak have an agenda. And it's agenda to please their advertisers, because the advertisers want to please their audiences. That's not coming from an unbiased perspective. Okay, number one. So I wrote some information down actually from Pew, which is a non-biased research institute, okay? Americans are sharply divided along partisan lines when it comes to the media outlets they turn to and trust for their political and election-related news, okay? Overall, these findings reveal sharp divides in the use and trust of political news sources. They don't reveal completely separate media bubbles. There are some news outlets that both Democrats and Republicans turn to, but even those areas of overlap can be hard to fully gauge, since using a news source doesn't always mean people trust it, okay? So bringing this back to reality, every day we come in contact with left-leaning and right-leaning individuals. Now, there's a spectrum on each side, right? There's left-leaning all the way up to the far left, Antifa, and there's right-leaning all the way up to the far right, the KKK. When I meet a liberal, it's not fair to him or me to assume he's a supporter of Antifa, right? If you are meeting someone on the right, to assume that they are a white supremacist or racist doesn't do them or you any favors either. It continues the divide. And I can assure you, being at these Trump rallies and discovering a whole community that I didn't know that I would be so a part of, so passionately, finding my patriotism and finding people of like mind, it's not a race thing, it's not a gender thing, it's not a religion thing, it's a American thing, and it's been freaking amazing. And there is reason why so many of us who would never have known each other otherwise are finding each other and celebrating what we love in common. That's why there is a sharp distinction between a Trump rally versus a Biden rally, okay? A lot of the people coming together at these rallies are united in love, right? Love for our country, love for our president, love for law enforcement, love for the land of opportunity. A lot of people who are united by the left actually are united in hate. Hate for a systemic core problem, hate for law enforcement, hate for many things that unite them, right? So which is going to be more fun to hang out at, right? So I know many of you are not going to like that I said that, but it is a reality, okay? So getting back to what else I was wanting to bring up. So we're going to meet left and right people on a daily basis, and to automatically assume that they, even though you might have even been friends with them, they might even be your family members, but because we might take a different stand politically, to just assume that if they like a certain candidate, they must be this way or that way. Again, do you want to be right, or do you want to have a stronger country? It starts with your own choices. So the road to hell is actually paved with good intentions. Remember this proverb? There's a reason why it still holds strong to today. Many of us have become so passionate about today's headlines because we've been conditioned to have some sort of fear associated with them if they remain unchecked. Now, as Ben Shapiro has said, two things can be true at once, okay? So two fears can be true at once. Two perspectives can be true at once. Two facts that seem contradictory can actually be true at once if you substantiate it with the right context, the full quote, and you understand the before and after. So again, when you're having dialogue with someone with an opposing view, the goal should not be, okay, I'm going to wait till you're finished so then I can prove you wrong. That's not really listening, because if the whole point of the conversation is, I'm going to prove you wrong with my facts, no, I'm going to prove you wrong with my facts, it's just exhausting and a waste of everyone's time. A better approach is to get curious as to where the passion and the trigger is coming from. And then together, when you both uncover what what is motivating you, what is triggering you, what is perpetuating you, and you can acknowledge those fears, whether or not you agree with them, but you can acknowledge those fears and understand where they're coming from, then both of you are more receptive to maybe new information that you may not have had before, because again, much of the media has become so mistrusting, and for good reason. I mean, people have good reason to mistrust the media. I hope this changes. What I would like to see on both sides is a demand for a balanced conversation. I'm not the biggest fan of Fox News, but what I will say about this network is that they do have commentators, reporters who are not pro-Trump. They're actually more left-leaning. So you do get a plethora, a diversity of opinion on conservatism today. I don't see that on the left. I don't see any Trump supporters, conservative commentators on CNN, on MSNBC, working for the New York Times, working for the Washington Post. This is why it's an imbalanced conversation. You cannot have a credible media source if you're not including all perspectives. Okay, so I want you guys to demand better from your news sources and from each other. And when you have a respectful, open conversation, when people are not afraid that it's going to end in a personal attack, that's how you breed connection again. Make the effort to create a safe space. And you know what? If you're not able to do that, if you're so triggered by what you see as your reality today, that's fine. Be where you are, okay? But also know that triggers are gifts of information for you to do with so you can grow to your best and full potential, okay? So if someone is triggered by Trump or triggered by BLM or triggered by a flag burning or triggered by something racist that happened, right? These are all real triggers, understandable triggers that speak to a deeper human fear. So if you can acknowledge that that is where people are operating from, and you can get on the same team of the human journey, then you're better able to actively listen to each other. Okay? So this is what I want to leave you guys with today, that it's so important to remember this as you go into your daily lives and your daily journeys. Do I want to be right, or do I want to do my part to strengthen our country again? And it starts with my own choices and my willingness to be open to a conversation. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being open and curious, because we cannot go anywhere if we continue to be polarized as we are. So that is my message for you guys today. My hope actually is to bring on some amazing people who are passionate with what they believe in today and juxtapose these conversations. For example, tell me what you guys think about this idea. I've made friends with the most amazing Black conservative individuals, Black conservative, passionate male Christians, right? How fun would it be to pair some of my new friends with some of my other friends, white, liberal, Jewish females, right? And then you get them to talk about a topic that they're both passionate about, like systemic racism, okay? And how they both might see it completely differently. It is so important, again, to find where the emotion is and go underneath that to the fear, to understand where the other person is coming from. And only then can they be introduced to new information. And then maybe they'll change their perspective, and maybe not. But it comes from an honest place of, you're not my enemy. I might disagree with you, but you're not my enemy. We are both American. We are both so privileged to be in this amazing country. So let's talk. Let's have an honest conversation. And if it's too hard, that's okay. That's fair. I'd rather you guys say, you know what? It's too much for me right now, or I need to take a break, or getting curious with what's happening with your own human experience when you are in conversation, right? What is going on? What's really going on? Does this remind you about someone? Does it remind you of someone in your past? Does it remind you about an incident that happened to you in your childhood where you didn't have a voice and you were misjudged? What is going on for you? Get curious about your own triggers so we can have a better path to connection for our future. Okay? And with that, God bless each and every one of you. God bless America.